God knew this game was going to be so bad that he cut the power to the stadium right before kickoff.
We want to tell you we're having technical issues with power on site. We hope to get those rectified shortly.
And when it was restored, CBS only had one working camera. Just like both of these teams only had one working side of the ball. Welcome, Jets and Patriots fans, to my least favorite weekly tradition. Recapping the worst NFL game I have ever seen. You survived a touchdownless game until the very, very end. 17 punts totaling close to 800 yards. The Jets had more punts than Zach Wilson had completions in this lobotomy of a football game. Patriots fans, you aged more watching this game than Tom Brady did his entire 20-year career in New England. The Jets are on pace to not beat the Patriots for 20 straight years. This was their 14th straight loss. Robert Saleh, though, well, he was pleased with his offense making his defense look so much superior that he described it as man's best friend.
It was dog shit.
Let's take a look at this snooze fest, this Ambien of NFL offensive production in the new worst NFL game I have ever seen. That's good sports. Hey, if watching football brings you nothing but pain every Sunday, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, it is fitting that a game featuring 17 punts was eventually decided in the final moments by a punt. When Marcus Jones housed this punt, the first punt return touchdown in the NFL this season, it mercifully ended one of the worst games I've ever seen. And I've watched every snap of the 2022 Denver Broncos. It was the kindest mercy killing by a Patriot since Private Joker in Full Metal Jacket. I hope somebody gets that reference.
I am in a world of shit.
Let's start here though. Before this game, the Pats had beaten the Jets 17 straight times. The last time the Jets took down the Patriots was back in 2015 when Todd Bowles was coaching the team, who ironically is now coaching Tom Brady in Tampa. The great Ryan Fitzmagic tossed an overtime tutty to Eric Big Dick Decker to win in dramatic fashion. So to say that the Jets wanted this one is an understatement. They looked like they might have broken the streak the last time they played, but then Zach Wilson happened. He fertilized the Patriots secondary like they were a 49-year-old in his mother's book club. And in this game, it happened again. Only it wasn't as entertaining because instead of throwing 3 interceptions, he threw 0. Probably because his passes were too inaccurate for either team to catch. Except, of course, for this perfect pass that hit Devin McCourty right between the 3 and the 2. Devin McCourty already picked off Zach Wilson twice in the first meeting this season, but this pass was so on the money that it probably took McCourty by surprise. Maybe Wilson has thrown so many completions to McCourty that he actually thinks he plays for the Jets. I don't know how you explain it, because there's nobody even in the territory that looks like a Jet to confuse McCourty with. This game was so bad for the Jets that the Jets from West Side Story are thinking about changing their name. Somehow, though, this wasn't the worst pass Wilson threw all game. It was probably the swing pass, which sailed over the head of a wide-open Braxton Berrios. Wilson's longest pass was arguably a result of offensive pass interference on Denzel Mims. But I guess like Sauce Gardner, Jets receivers are also getting the benefit of the doubt. Wilson was 9 of 22 passing in this game. 9 completions. The Jets punted 10 times. Let that sink in. It probably didn't take that long to sink in. It's sadly very believable if you've watched Zach Wilson play football this year. After the game, Wilson was asked whether he felt like he let his defense down. The same defense that held the Patriots to 3 points and still lost. Wilson's response?
Let the defense down at all?
No.
And honestly, I admire that approach. Brandon, Do you feel like you're letting YouTube down by being an underperforming sports channel? No.
Why? 'Cause fuck 'em, that's why.
Look, Zach Wilson, that's a layup. Just say you feel like you let your team down because you did. Zach has been so bad this year that he saved the Broncos quarterback from being the worst Wilson. Apparently, he's acting like that in the locker room as well, and the New York media is now throwing him under the bus. The Jets probably win this game with Joe Flacco, which is a very silly thing to say in the year 2022, a full decade after Flacco defeated these same Patriots to advance to the Super Bowl. Now, I really shouldn't be too hard on Zach Wilson. After all, he was the Jets' leading rusher with 26 yards. The Jets running backs combined for 33 yards on the ground in this game, and if you add it all up, the Jets mustered just 103 yards of total offense on Sunday. James Robinson, the addition I liked for the Jets, averaged just 1.4 yards per carry, which means he was better off with Urban Meyer. It was especially bad, though, in the second half. The Jets averaged just 2.77 inches per play in the second half. And while I personally think that's enough in some situations, it's just not good enough for an NFL team. Anytime you're converting yardage to smaller units of measurement, you know your offense sucks. Now that tweet may have been corrected to 9.69 inches per play, which is still less than a foot per play. Again, according to Robert Saleh, his team's offense was
Dog shit.
Oh, when I hear that now, that sounds like an insult. I thought earlier he was just a dog lover. The saddest part, though, of the Jets' loss is they were incredibly disciplined. Just 3 penalties for 15 yards in this game. You rarely see a team play that bad and not be dicked by their own penalties. But of course, it's not like the Patriots' offense was much better, but at least they compiled just a little under 300 yards as a unit. And as bad as Zach Wilson is, I'd honestly rather watch him than McCorkle Jones, the human tranquilizer. Zach Wilson is the kind of fun bad, you know? Mac Jones is the kind of quarterback that might break the record for most completions in a game, but without throwing a touchdown. Running back Damian Harris ripped off a few nice runs, and Ramondre Stevenson led all of Patriots receivers with a somewhat respectable 56 yards. Unfortunately, their worst run of the day was by a tight end. Jonnu Smith had plenty of room on this reverse, but managed to lose the ball without a single jet within 3 yards of him. It was like the ghost of Aaron Hernandez poked the ball out to get back at his old team. Smith managed to get the ball back, but if he hadn't, the Patriots wouldn't have scored a point on offense in this game. Hell, the only field goal the Jets got was nearly swept away by a gust of wind, as if God was ready to intervene and then decided against it at the last minute. It's actually kind of impressive that Mac Jones completed 85% of his passes for 9.1 yards per attempt, and somehow none of those completions meant anything. Maybe you can blame Nick Folk for missing 2 field goals, one of them being a 44-yarder that was rejected by the crossbar. You just don't see many field goals come up short anymore. But it was like a beautiful blast from the past, a welcome visitation from the friendly ghost of Nate Keating. And every great new worst game ever needs a epic punting montage. Can I give the defenses in this game some credit? Sure, I guess so. There were 10 sacks in this game, which is impressive, but neither of these quarterbacks are exactly masters of avoiding the rush. None of the sacks resulted in strip sacks, scoop scores, or touchdowns. There were not any interceptions going for pick sixes. Fundamentally great defense is like your grandparents. You think you love them until you have to spend 3.5 hours with them. Now, before I go back to the play that eventually won the game for the Patriots, I want to set the stage a little bit. The Jets had the ball with 2 minutes left at their own 20, and Zach Wilson threw this pass that almost got intercepted. Wilson got away with one, okay, on that near interception, but then the Jets had 3rd and 1 with 30 seconds left in the game. 1 yard, just 1 yard. But that's a mile for a team that averaged under 3 inches of play in the second half, or 9.5 inches, whatever. And of course, this pass to Michael Carter wasn't good enough. So the Jets punted. And Brandon Mann, well, he hits a line drive, which gave Marcus Jones plenty of room to do this. Mann offered one of the worst tackle attempts I've ever seen, and Marcus Jones hit pay dirt mercifully, keeping this game from going to overtime, where it almost certainly would have ended in a 3-3 tie. And I know Jets fans wanted a penalty for a blindside block, but just be grateful, Jets fans, that Sauce Gardner hasn't been called for pass interference all season, and chalk it up to evening out in the penalty department. And yes, this game truly was the worst game, at least this week. And I think the NFL has a turnover problem. The Patriots offense sucks without Josh McDaniels. The Raiders offense sucks with Josh McDaniels. The Packers offense sucks without Nathaniel Hackett. The Broncos offense sucks with Nathaniel Hackett. So maybe some of the coaches that are assistants and coordinators should just stay with their teams instead of trying to go out and win as head coach. Because we're starting to see maybe teams suffering offensively from losing too many guys every single offseason, which leads to repeated worst games ever. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please check out the Broncos, Raiders, worst game ever. And later today, I will have the best and worst of all of NFL Sunday up on this YouTube channel, so come back and check that out.